or sing a note and puts in the middle. Is that done already?
So what do you want it to do? Sorry, I didn't quite catch the whole.
You know people who make backing tracks using MIDI?
Yeah.
Can you think a note or sing a note and put it in?
Well, I would imagine. I mean, I don't. The technology to create that experience exists. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you can think the tone, but you can certainly think, I want the C, and I want this frequency of C.
You can already get software which will take a. That's how they make ringtones. You can already get software that takes a track.
But based on what you're thinking.
Oh no. It'll just take the actual song, like MP3 or whatever, and then give you the MIDI notes from that, and that's you can just use that.
Well, I mean, if you're a composer and you sing the note and then it puts it in MIDI.
Yeah, you could probably do that real time.
I mean, I couldn't tell you which application it is, but the ability to do it certainly. I mean, someone could piece that together if they haven't done it already. Yeah.
Pitch analysis isn't difficult.
I think that's one for our research department in our school.
But I think the thing that would be difficult is singing the note and detecting the pitch and all of that. I'm absolutely sure you can do. Thinking the note is another one. Yeah.
Yeah, you could easily create that.
That you can definitely do. It's but thinking it, I don't know how you detect pitch based on what someone's thinking. But it's probably possible if someone really
Bass
puts
drum
it.
snare. Bass drum snare.
That you could do. It's just because the pitches are such an abstract thing that it's hard. Hi.
Hi, sorry. It's very interesting the positive spin you put on facial recognition software. And surely I would be worried about getting crap beat out of me at an airport because I have a hangover one morning and I tend to have a facial expression of a terrorist.
Well, like I said at the beginning, you've got to think about the responsible use of all of this stuff in the
But
process.
I think looking at the bigger picture, on the big data, I think we should be more careful in embracing this. We should think about the negative side of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, there is a lot of times where I want to do things. If smart things are doing things for me, what am I going to do? So that's what I would say. I'm very skeptical, and I've got a Google Nexus tablet, and for me to try and un-Google that tablet,
You can't do it.
it's impossible. And I know what I'm doing, and it is impossible.
Yeah, no, I went into the Apple store the other day and made the mistake of trying to have an intellectual conversation with the person who was working there, trying to ask them how I could take iCloud off of my phone. And they were like, "Oh, why would you? It's so wonderful." And I was like, "But I don't really think I want you to have a copy of everything I do." "Oh, but we don't look at it." And I was like, "But you could. You could be analyzing it en masse and looking for patterns of behavior, which then make you able to sell me more products." And the woman was just like, "Does not compute." I don't know. It was really scary. There's an interesting film which we're involved with at the moment called Google and the World Brain. It was on BBC4 a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if it's still on iPlayer, but if you're interested in this kind of notion of information and what do we surrender and at what cost, I'd highly recommend you watch it. There's a website, which I think is googleandtheworldbrain.com as well.
Just about the Google Glass and the camera, because Steve Mann from the University of Toronto has for 20 years been wearing various prototypes of things stuck to his head, sort of small. So there's always pigments from so far. It's not for many years, but we took it to Paris last year and got fairly well assaulted by the security in the Parisian department store because he was wearing this thing. Acceptance of the environment that you're in, to actually accept that you're constantly performing.
Yeah, I think, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I haven't tried one yet, so I shouldn't slag them off too hard, but just the fact that there is a camera on it, I find quite weird. And I just think people, if they are going to be wearing wearing that camera should be thinking about exactly what the gentleman in the back was saying. Where is that data going? What's happening with it? And even if it's not violating your privacy, is someone else making money off of it? Are you doing someone else's work for you?
Or Google actually collecting IP addresses of every device that's around, just like in the Street View when they're capturing Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know. And so you need to think about the consequences of this stuff. I mean, of course I'm going to get a pair of them on my face as soon as I can, just to try them out. They're not allowed out of the US yet, interestingly, for legal reasons. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting, and I love trying this stuff out, but I do think people just really need to be very cautious, very careful about what they put into these systems, because you don't know what you're going to get out. You might put something in today that you're not that concerned about, but that gets turned up in another way later on. I had some health problems a little while ago, and mentioning in emails some of my symptoms when I didn't know what was wrong to my brothers, my parents, and my emails. And I started getting efforts which told me what was wrong with me, which was actually quite scary. So, when you put this stuff out there, it is out there, and you need to just think about what's there.
I should just say at this point that I did have a disclaimer on the table when we came in, saying that we were filming tonight, and I did have Jason's permission. So if you're not willing to be filmed, you need to let me know. We will be posting this up on the website.
We'll blob your face.
Sorry, your question there.
Do you think we will have to adapt our opinion of what's private and what we're okay with having shared? Because it might be that we have to go for a lot of what we consider private, just because the organisations that provide the devices and the technology, it's in their interest.
I think, the easy answer is yes. The more difficult answer is, what does privacy mean to every individual, and is that different? I think, if people my age are I'm in my mid-30s, late 30s next week, I remember when no one had a computer at home, and when, whatever happened in your house was completely private. What you wrote in your diary, your notebook was completely private. And I think that my niece and nephew, who are 2 and 4, are going to have a whole different perception of that, because they'll know that anything that they write in their tablet that they take to school is just on the internet. And so, is that if they never thought that was private, never wanted it to be private, they'll just have a different perception of these things. So there will be a change, but whether it's a surrender, I don't know. I mean, there's certainly a corporate read element of this stuff that's out there, and a corporate control element that's out there. There's a reason why my iPhone works best with my Mac, works best with my iPad, and that if I try and plug an Android tablet into my Mac, it starts to do things not as well as it might if it were plugged into something with the same, So these there's definitely a corporate agenda there with these things, but it does make our lives easier at the same time. So, I'm not one of these people that's a complete sort of let's go live in a cave type of guys. I just, as I kind of espouse this futuristic world, I have to say, there's a downside to it as well. And we need to think about it. Hi.
What happens in your creativity workshop? And where are they in London or something?
We do them all over the place. We've done them from Chile to Korea and every place in between. And we usually tailor those for organizations that want us to help them build creative capacity or digital knowledge. So, there's different ones. You can have a look at our website and you'll see some of the different ones that we've
So
done.
basically, if I want an app made, I come to you.
Yeah, that's where we work more as an agency. The workshops are more like sort of training. I mean, in fact, sometimes it's like this, where I'll do a talk and then we'll work on how to, learn something. We also do kind of more pure creativity stuff about like brainstorming techniques. We're doing a 3-week digital film development lab later in the spring. So it's kind of a broad heading.
I think it's quite interesting, all this collection of data, is that is how much semantic understanding does the net or the machine have of this data? Because that's obviously the more we can get the machine to
I
understand.
hope you don't expect me to
data.
answer.
I don't know. I was just making a point. 'cause
No,
it's
it's a very good point.
It's all about connecting things with people.
Yeah.
And obviously, and as you say, things can understand things, and people can understand things, the people. And the things don't have a real semantic understanding of, I don't know, Twitter, for example. Does that make sense, necessarily?
The things don't have a semantic understanding of Twitter. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah?
Yeah. But you know, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
images
starting
or
to happen. There's some
Yeah.
guys in London who were really into I think it was the croissants at the local bakery.
Right.
And so they hacked a little thing together that that they gave to the guys, and the croissants or whatever it was sold out really quickly.
Yeah.
So what they did was they made this little button that looks like a doorbell that connected to the Wi-Fi, that whenever they put hot croissants out, they pressed it and it made a light switch on in the office so they could run downstairs and get the croissants before anybody else. And then I think they managed to make that go to Twitter or something like that. So these things, you know, it would start to send a tweet when it was time to. So these things are starting to happen, and they're kind of silly and hokey a lot of times right now. But
it's like the art thing, you know, where you can, you can collect pictures of people's faces as they look at pieces of art. But the really interesting bit is when the computer can understand the expression, like you were saying. Because then the computer's getting a semantic understanding of the person's reaction to that art. Then you can start a deeper analysis of what's going on.
Yeah. And some of this stuff can be really light touch as well. I mean, another example that I saw the other day was I was coming through Heathrow, and in the arrivals hall, which is like the worst part of any airport experience, they had a little, just a little kiosk type thing, and it had four buttons, and it said, "How was your experience in the arrivals hall?" And it was sort of very happy, which I don't think anyone would ever press. Reasonably happy, neutral, or sad. And you know, the fact that I'm sad when I come through the arrivals hall is probably not that interesting. But you know, they can start to sense when they're having a really big problem, and everyone who's coming through is saying that they're sad. There's something wrong going on. So again, it's that, you know, looking at the patterns, and that's not like any elaborate mood sensing. It's simply just putting a button where people can touch it as they walk past and have a really simple interaction. So sometimes just asking us what our mood or our reaction is can be as interesting as any sort of sophisticated. I mean, you're right, but I'm just saying, you know, that's being able to get a computer to understand what, you know, it means if my face is doing something is actually very, very advanced. Whereas, you know, just 4 options and, you know, tell the manager if everyone who's coming through is hitting the sad button, that could actually improve people's customer experience.
Is sad the worst it does? Is it not religious?
Yeah, there wasn't one with like a knife going in your heart or anything like that.
Oh, the interesting thing there is there's 2 options above which and only 1 option below which.
Yes, I did think about that. I don't know anyone who's ever come through the arrivals hall at Heathrow ecstatic.
There was an item on the radio this morning actually that a chap who, as we said, worked for a sat-nav company, but he made a sat-nav for his cat because he wanted to find out where the cat was being fed besides what he was doing. So now that's developed into connected cats in that area. So
Well, I mean, most of our pets are connected anyway, right?
So
apparently we're not allowed.
How far they travel.
Apparently veterinarians aren't allowed to ship us. I asked. Sorry. At the moment, yeah.
What's the creative strategy? I'm still a bit unclear about is what you're offering, what the swarm's offering.
It's like creative. Do you know what creative direction is?
No.
So like people will come to us and say, we want a website that promotes such and such. And so we'll come up with what that idea is and who it is that they're targeting it to, and then turn that into visuals, and then, you know, actually build it as something that people can interact with. So that's the kind of strategy of thinking of like how do we solve the creative problem that the client has. What's the right visual, what's the right interaction, what's the right visual execution, what's the right technology, and then how do we make that happen?
I was interested in when we were emailing each other a few weeks back, you were in Venezuela.
Yes.
And could you talk a bit about that? That project in terms of, I had a look at the
Yeah.
film about the Aboriginal guy.
Oh, okay, that's two different projects.
Oh, right, okay, beg your pardon. Okay, I'll leave it to you.
What? Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry that I confused you on that one, but I'll talk about the Venezuela one because I think that might answer this
Yeah,
this
that's what I was
question a little
thinking,
bit better.
Yeah.
So the national broadcaster for Venezuela, they are trying to be like a CNN for the Latin American world, and they hired me to come down and help them figure out how they could make what they call a transmedia version of their premiere documentary series. So they have this documentary series that's broadcast in 16 countries, and the problem is if you're not sitting in front of the TV when it's on, you miss it. And so they were saying, how can we bring that to the web, target new users, make it available all the time, and do something beyond just sticking the TV program on the web. So how can we really expand that story world? And that's what I was working with them on. And what we did was we spent a week working intensively with the director, the executive producer, and some of the production team, figuring out what that could actually look like and how it could work, so that when they went out to shoot the series, they knew what they needed to shoot, and they knew how that reporting would be different from when they were doing it only for TV. We can't tell you what the answer was because they haven't made it yet, but that's kind of how we approach those types of problems.
I think it kind of ties up with our event last month, Scott Cohen from the Orchard, talking about the means for music distribution via cross platforms. And we've got an event coming up which I'll tell you about in a bit, that is titled Cross Platform, and it's about the TV program Misfits and how the team that work on that kind of maximise the engagement with the audience through other means, through the web and so on, through social media. So it's not just the television program itself.
Any more questions?
Well, this personalized film stuff, when you watch a film, you want this personalized, like, look at the character story.
Yeah.
You need that creators of the movie that create some extra bits
Yeah.
you can choose.
Yeah.
I take this idea of being able to customise documentaries and just go, can I watch this? That amount of time I watch an hour's documentary, but that could be 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I go, can you just specify a time, you just re-edits it on the fly to fit that time?
So there's tools that will do that with the narrative, where you can get longer and shorter versions as you go through. The connection that I haven't seen made yet is the one that it really detects your mood. And that's what the Mind Play system is starting to do. So you can make active choices in the video now. Say, oh, I want to do the longer cut of this particular segment or whatever. But Mind Play is kind of the first time we're starting to see that.
Well, maybe you can do it in real time, so as you watch it, it can tell you're falling asleep, and you're looking...
Yeah, no, that's what it does.
It's bored now at this documentary, so it kind of speeds it up a little
It
bit.
can electrocute you as well.
Breathe something in,
How much do you charge for your services?
It depends on the client, and it depends on the project. It varies really, really widely. For big corporates, we charge quite a lot of money, but then there's also projects that we do.
You can work with a small-time person like me, can't you?
Depends what the idea is, but sometimes we invest our time in bringing ideas out because we think they're important, or we think there's money down the road.
There was a news item this week, wasn't there, about a schoolboy with an app?
Yes.
Made several million.
I mean, no one paid us to make TubeTap. No one's, and we're quite different in that we work like an agency with some clients, and then on other projects we work more like a TV production company where we invest our time looking towards profits further down the road. And we find that mixed model, plus some of the training stuff that we do, works well to keep us afloat, keep us eating.
It depends what it is. You probably can do it in one day, depending on what this person's trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm conscious of time. I know probably people would like to chat as they go out, perhaps talk to Jason and so on, but
Do feel free to contact me or whatever. My email isn't up here, but it's jason@entertheswarm.com if you want to find me. But there's an email link on the thing. You can tweet me. If you have more questions, tweet me. I'll tweet back on the train on the way home.
So I just wanted to tell you about a few more things, but I'd like to say a big thank you to Jason.
Thanks for having us.
And then I'm going to ask him to operate the next slides for us. But please show your